Okay, you ready to go? Good evening, it is 6 o'clock, and I welcome you to this October 6th regular board meeting of the Kingsport Board of Education. I'm Jim Welch, I'm the president of the board. We welcome those of you who are joining us via YouTube. Mr. True, you have a guest for us this evening.
We do. We are very pleased this evening to welcome Matthew Nash, who is a junior at Dobyns-Bennett, but you have accomplished a little bit more in your time. A senior at Dobyns-Bennett. You've accomplished a little bit more in your time probably than most seniors have. When I looked over kind of the accomplishments, you've already completed 27 credits. You've got your combination welding certificate. You basically have a first year of college already completed, correct?
A little bit more than that, about to finish Comp 1.
And you are putting yourself in a position to be able to walk at Northeast State this winter, is that correct?
Yep.
So why? what has led to you've done some fabulous things. What has motivated you to go the extra mile to get this all done?
Well, like everyone, money, but I just want to stay busy.
Now you have done some things, you've done all these things. I looked through all the different types of certificates you've been able to accomplish, but you've not done that in school, right? You've done those outside, a lot of it's outside of class?
Christmas break, spring break, fall break, and over the summer. I'm working on a current one right now, S-130 for Pulaski Club.
So what motivated you? You said money. What drives you to keep doing that over break and to spend your breaks getting all these incredible certificates?
Well, again, I just want to be busy. I don't want to have nothing to do. It sometimes gets boring after you just watch everything on Netflix. You're like, oh, I guess I'll get my college degree.
So after you, like say, you're going to be eligible to walk this winter, what next? What's on the horizon for you?
Well, I'm thinking of two paths. One at not Northeast, but ETSU, to get a geography major and probably a law minor.
Okay.
For like, if I want to be like a park ranger or make a full-blown forest firefighter, or go to the Vanderbilt, become a lawyer, because I'm in the mock trial team. I'm the captain of the mock trial team currently, so that's an option there. I just want to, because my previous leadership mock trial went to Vanderbilt, and I'm like, they're good people. I want to follow in their footsteps.
That was I didn't even get to all the extracurricular activities you're in. Mock trial, Skills USA, Republican Club, Pulaski Club, Radio Club, Junior ROTC. How do you find the time? Because if you figured that out, I would love to know how you find time to fit all that in.
Sleep.
So in addition to that, do you have a job that you work?
No.
Okay.
Well, right now I'm technically working for the Jumbotron, $25 each home game.
All right.
So what we see down there on Friday nights is your work.
We control the live stream and the Jumbotron. And last game was the home game, and I controlled during like the last quarter a widescreen camera, and that was pretty fun. And I do the Insta replays most of the time.
Okay. So if somebody's online watching tonight, or they see the video that Mr. Wagner's taking, or they hear the audio on the radio, and they see all of the things and hear about all the things that you've done, what message do you think you would want to send to other kids maybe that are looking at you as an example and deciding whether they want to do that? What would you like to say to them?
Go to school, do skill certifications, and get paid good, because they're much those like old guys are in the 50s, 60s, and I'm like, hey, they're about to retire, and they're going to lose 1,000 people, and they're going to gain one person, that's me. They're going to pay like, I don't know, $1 billion, something like that. I don't know.
Old guys in their 50s.
That's pretty old, right?
Mr. True.
Okay. So Matthew, we are just so proud of you, and just wanted to say congratulations to you for everything you've accomplished. You are certainly just a great example of what can happen when hard work, and effort all come together with great intelligence and drive. You are incredible with what you've done, and we say congratulations to you and thank you for being with us tonight and helping us lead the pledge.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we all can please stand, and when you're ready, Matthew, lead us.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go sleep finally.
Matthew,
I would take a point of personal privilege here and ask the board to applaud you. We're very proud to have you enrolled throughout.
Well, try. I can finally go to sleep now. Since I was asleep the past 3 days. Yay! Goodbye.
well, Matthew, one piece that I wanted to draw attention. So while Matthew has done this, he's also part of a cohort. We talked about this last year, but he's part of this initial cohort in that welding program in RCAM that started during the summer. They went every day during the summer. They gave up the summer to do that. But you're starting to see the payoff. That group that started last summer, now has completed 27 hours, has gotten their welding certificate, and as you see, with a little extra effort, I mean, he's going to graduate with his associate's degree. And so just incredibly proud, and thank you for making note that, yes, the when you put in the effort, you can accomplish some great things. And just proud of the programs and the opportunities that we're providing for kids in all sorts of fields.
Thank you.
I was just glad it was the old guys. Over 50.
I left 50 a long time. We have for those of you joining us by YouTube, two of our members tonight are joining us electronically. Ms. Altizer, will you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Welch, Board President.
Present.
Julie Byers, Vice President.
Present.
Todd Golden.
Here.
Eric Pike.
Present.
Carrie Upshaw.
Present.
Thank you. Board members have a copy of the agenda. There have been no additions to place before the agenda. I'll now accept a motion that we accept the agenda as was presented to us.
Motion.
There a second? Second. Ms. Altizer, if you'll call the vote, please.
Mrs. Byers.
Aye.
Mr. Golden.
Aye.
Mr. Hyde.
Aye.
Mrs. Upshaw.
Aye.
Mr. Welch.
Aye. We've now entered that time on our agenda when members of the audience are invited to comment on agenda items. It is not a time to speak about personnel issues, as there are more appropriate ways in which these can be addressed. If you are not sure how to do this, please ask one of us after the meeting. In your remarks, you may not refer to students by name without permission from the parent or guardian. If you would like to speak on a topic not included on the agenda, you are asked to submit your request in writing to the superintendent of schools at least 3 business days prior to the scheduled date of the meeting. Now, if you would like to speak about an item included on tonight's agenda, please raise your hand. I will request that you state your name and limit your remarks to a maximum of 5 minutes. No takers on that. We will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the community interest report. So on BioBuilder, Ms. Blackburn, Dr. Cinnamon, Ms. LaFollette. Welcome.
I'll do a little less social distancing, so you can hear me briefly. But thank you, board members, for having us this evening. We're going to share with you BioBuilder program. This is a synthetic biology program. A couple of unique aspects of it that these fine ladies will share with you. We were given the opportunity to begin exploring this program, this curriculum program several years ago, as part of some work with MIT. So they will share with you the journey there, and you will find here that this is not a common practice in high schools in America to have a program like this. So here at Dobbins Bennett we do, and part of that is because we have innovative teachers who are willing to take on new work as part of the current work that they have in biology. Another aspect of it that I'm sure you'll talk about is the idea that many of our students get to interact with this, not just a few. And that was one of the key features of us wanting to be able to share this with you. So without further ado, Debbie LaFollette and Amanda Blackburn, biology teachers at Dobbins Bennett High School, are going to share with you what they put together in a presentation.
All right, well, this started with us fall of 2018, and Natalie Caldell of MIT came to Kingsport for the Eastman Idea Academy, and she wanted to share with us what BioBuilder could be. And some of the members at Eastman had told her that this might be something that Dobbins Bennett would be interested in. It led to a trip from the biology department to Boston to the MIT labs to actually see how BioBuilder takes place in their setting. And we were trained on it. We got to experience all of the labs in their state-of-the-art labs at MIT. It was a wonderful experience. And then we were lucky enough for them to come back that summer and walk us back through the labs after we had had a chance to trial run it with our students.
When someone said we were going to teach high schoolers synthetic biology, we were like, are we talking about the same kids? Like, where do you even start with a broad concept like synthetic biology, and how do we even tell the kids? And so what we decided was we needed to give them some background. That it's not a new topic. It's not something that's innovative in that sense, but something that's been around a long time. And we found that the kids really didn't understand that. And so we were able to teach them about the pieces and parts and things that kind of build on synthetic biology and help them lay the foundational work. So we had been already using case studies for a while, bringing in real world concepts, but to sell the kids on synthetic biology, we had to bring in real world examples where it wasn't just us sharing information with them, but here's how it was applied and how it applies to the real world they're going to be a part of very soon in the workforce. So first, after we introduced the timeline and give them real world experiences, we had to give them clinical skills, practice using a micropipette and take that lab technique because they would need it later on. And this is the foundation that they'll use when they go to college, have that base background. That's not something that's offered to every student who had taken biology prior to that.
Now, one of the big things we've done with this is it's not just our honors or our AP level kids. We've introduced BioBuilder all the way from our special ed biology courses, all the way through every single student. Any kid that goes to DB and takes biology will get a synthetic biology experience and get to do the lab. These pictures here show when we were in the old building, what's now the annex pod. We didn't have all of the materials and the resources to do this easily. So we were pulling materials from different spaces, but we ran through it to see what we really needed to make this work better. And then here it is in our new Regional Science and Tech Center, and it made teaching this so much easier because we have the higher tech equipment, and it's giving the kids a chance to use the actual equipment they'll be using in college. Inky shakers and mass spectrometers and very specialized incubators that can measure down to very precise intervals. It made our lives so much easier.
In this picture, you can see our students are wearing their PPE before it was cool. So they've got their goggles, they have their gloves, they have their lab coats. And in the research space, it's on the third floor of our building, we were able to split the kids in half. So it's a special ed group, a general group, and an honors group, and they've been heterogeneously mixed. And then we divided them in half where she ran the lab technique in the lab, and we did pre-work in the hallway and then analysis work as they switched from group to group.
The biggest part of these labs is it puts the kids in the role of the scientist. They didn't just think they were doing in a lab that they didn't understand. They were in the role. They had been trained on the technique. They took all of the data collection. It made them into this position of being a scientist. It integrated 3D instruction, technology, engineering. They were getting many skills that we had not done before we had BioBuilder. This is some of the data that our students collected, and by the fact that they took the data, it was more meaningful to them. So here we have two different labs. One was what's called the banana lab, where they genetically modify bacteria to make it smell like bananas. And so they measure the different strength of the banana smell. And then the other lab, they genetically modify bacteria to make it turn colors. We were looking at different ways that genetic modification could be used with the different organisms. This was my highlight of last year. Natalie Kildell helped us get in contact with a synthetic biologist who is one of the founding fathers of synthetic biology. He is a bioengineering professor at Stanford University, and he agreed to talk to our kids. We had 3 or 4 sections of biology in the field room with Drew Envy, who didn't come with a presentation prepared. He came into the meeting and said, "What do you want to know and how can I help you? You all are the future of this. Tell me what you want." And he talked to them for over an hour, answering every single question they had. And then we ended the year with this summative capstone project, where since this is the future of biology, this is where the kids got to create what they wanted. We invited a Shark Tank of investors to come and judge the project of what should be funded. They picked a problem, picked an organism, and then decided what genes they would want to genetically modify to make that happen.
This is some of the examples of the student projects. So in one group, they worked in groups, kind of promoting that collaborative effort between individuals on a team. Again, they had to pick a world problem like hunger or war, or even a local problem. And then the digital ones, they worked as individuals. So one group made it where corn would grow in cold climates so that you could see populations that didn't have seasonal growth all year long. One used a gene out of starfish to regrow organs and limbs and things like that. And then one young lady, she's in the red hoodie, she found out that a local business was using a microorganism to clean their water. But unfortunately, the exoskeleton was being left in their system. And so she re-engineered the microorganism so that its shell would decompose with CO2. So the factory could pump the CO2 they were putting in the atmosphere back into the water tanks, and it would dissolve, and they would have that home anymore.
So can I jump in right here?
Absolutely.
I'm in I got to be one of the Shark Tank judges in that scenario. And I say this because I got to sit in on some presentations for AP research today. And truly, I had to be reminded that when I was sitting in on the Shark Tank and the kids were doing their presentation, that this was 9th graders that were doing their presentations, that it was done at that level. And not to take anything away from the AP research and AP seminar, but I'm really excited to see what those classes are going to look like in 2 years when these students that have gone through the BioBuilder curriculum get to that point where they can take the AP seminar and AP research, because the foundational skills that you gave them just through doing those presentations, I mean, it was phenomenal.
They did that in 1 week.
Yes, well, I mean, so even more to the point that just to see that this was part of this is not AP biology. This is not, that this is part of our regular biology curriculum that all of our students are getting exposed to. And the research, the design thinking, and the problem solving that they're learning in their classes, I'm just super excited to see where this is going to lead for further research.
When we started distance learning in March, one of these kids sent me a message that said, "Who do I need to talk to about getting my project started?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "I'm at home, I've got some free time, I need to work on my project. Is it possible for me to get in touch with somebody at Eastman so we can work on this together?" And I was like, yeah, sure, let me reach out to somebody, see what we can do. So, for freshmen to be motivated this way, it's remarkable.
We're moving into our 3rd year of doing BioBuilder. And the very first year I surveyed my kids and I asked them, what did they think about it? And I had the most meaningful feedback from my kids. One of them said, the things that all of science thought was impossible can now be done by a high school kid. It can be.
That's-
And if our kids feel like they can do something, then they can. And giving them this opportunity makes them feel like a scientist. They have a lab coat, they have the goggles, and they're doing actual lab skills that were not normally done in a high school setting. It's a really meaningful experience.
I would encourage you next time, I still want to be on the invite list,
Absolutely.
but I would encourage you to reach out to some potential Shark Tank judges here for them to be able to see this firsthand. I think they would be incredibly impressed.
So before we started, we had the kids kind of give us what they thought genetically modified meant, and they were very quick to be like, oh, it's bad. Oh, it's so bad. And then afterwards, we resurveyed them, and they were like, oh, it's so helpful. And it was funny how their mindset shifted in such a way that it went from this is big and scary to this is totally doable and very efficient. Like it was very good to see them grow in that way in just one semester.
And with science, we've had a shift in our standards to be more NGSS based with the core concepts, the practices, the cross-cutting concepts. This has aligned perfectly with our new standards of having our kids become engineers and problem solvers. One of the biggest, I guess, buzzwords in education right now is project-based learning. We're taking it as problem-based. The world's full of problems. How can we fix it and use science to do that? What questions do you have?
And that fulfills the impact of our statement of impact possibilities. These kids are taking on real world problems.
We're so proud of them. They do such a good job with this.
So do we have an iGym team yet?
We do not. They are interested in it. They do know about it. They have considered that their chances would be better if they're older, since they compete against collegiate level students, and so they've been mulling over the ideas, but it's in the works.
The original partnership included ETSU, and we were hoping that they could be a big factor in helping us with that aspect of this. And that hasn't come to fruition, but hopefully it will. But that could be a future opportunity.
Thank you.
I know ETSU has talked about a streamlined path from our kids to going to ETSU to finish their research.
Right, okay. Right. Any other questions, comments?
Well, I've got two comments, one good and one not so good maybe, but blown away. This is absolutely fascinating. But my looking at the pictures, you may want to make sure that the pictures you use on kids have. There's one that one girl had a lab coat on and she had shorts on in the biology lab. And several of your pictures, the kids did not have safety glasses on. So when you pull pictures for a presentation, just make sure the kids have all the gear, because I know that it is provided and it is there, but it just makes it dilute the quality of everything you guys are doing.
Good question. I think these pictures are staged. I think they're staged, they're not.
Well, they should have safety glasses on if they're staging pictures. So, but no, I'm blown away. I didn't know we were doing all of this stuff. I didn't know we were doing all this stuff in the high school, and I'm totally blown away. Good job, and thank you for motivating the kids in a different way, and it was interesting to see the words of what they thought beforehand, what they thought afterwards.
Do you know how many other high schools are working with MIT to get this done?
Not in this area. We did a presentation back in March or April where we talked to other area high schools.
Across the state.
Yeah, to convince them that they should do it because we were for it. There are some in the northeast where they're closer and have more access.
Right, but it's probably within at least a 4-hour radius. There's no other high school. I mean, it's
Not in Tennessee.
so 8-hour radius until you get up to DC probably. Right. That's phenomenal. That really bespeaks of what we get done here in KCS.
Well, and a differentiator in that is that we're doing with regular biology students.
All
where
of it.
most of the time, this is either done in an AP or in a club, not in content like we're offering it. And that's because we have teachers that are willing to take that level of opportunity with students.
Or a specialized school, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So are the AP kids not getting this experience? You've seen the general biology, you keep comparing it to AP, but are the AP kids not getting this BioBuilder?
So they would have gotten it in the spring because it was our first full year of
Implementation, yeah.
But since the school year was cut short, they weren't able to. But at a certain point, the kids will overlap and they don't need to have it again.
they would ideally work on an item project. And the AP program has a set of specialized labs they have to do for the curriculum.
This two prestigious systems, Woodhull Institute.
Mr. Heiss, any comments, questions?
And MIT. That's phenomenal.
No other questions. Thank you for doing the presentation.
Yeah. Ms. Upshaw?
Thank you. Again, it's amazing what we're accomplished, and she's absolutely right. Any level of student, if they're challenged and given good content, can excel. And so I'm pleased that we are offering that to all levels.
Thank you all very, very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Sharing this awesome stuff.
We just in the meeting right now.
Sorry. that's-
Sorry, it's only gonna go down from
We received no comments or concerns on the consent agenda, so we'll move to our first business item. Item 4.1, approval for renewed Camelot Care Center's Memorandum of Understanding. Mr. Nash. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Oh, thank you. This evening, we're coming to ask for approval, and it is a renewal of our MOU with Camelot Care. The reason that we wanted to have it for discussion, in case you have any questions, is we have increased the number of Camelot counselors from 5 last year to 9 this year. So we're able to move that to middle schools, and actually we'll have a little bit at the hospital as well. This has been a very successful program for our school system and meeting the needs of our students. As a reminder, these people work on site, so they are able to have their appointments at school, which many of these families may have trouble getting to appointments should they go to a regular office, picking their child up from school or after school hours. So, and the funding for this is a combination of funds from GP, general purpose funds, safe schools funds, and coordinated school health. But again, we're moving from 5 to 9, which we, as a school system and as counselors, I work with counselors regularly, are very excited about this and the services that they'll provide. Any questions?
Board members, questions, comments? Seeing none, hearing none. Ms. Altizer, would you read the recommended action, please, ma'am?
To approve renewal of the Camelot Care Centers, Inc. Memorandum of Understanding for FY 2020-2021.
There a motion to accept the recommended action?
second.
Been moved and seconded that the recommended action be approved. Ms. Altizer, would you call the vote, please?
Mrs. Byers? Aye. Mr. Golden?
Aye.
Mr. Heiss?
Aye.
Mrs. Upshaw?
Aye.
Mr. Welch?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Painless, huh?
Item 4.2, approval of the proposed 2021-2022 Kingsport City Schools calendar and designated holiday schedule for our 12-month employees. Mr. True, welcome.
Thank you very much. Wanted to come back to you with a proposed calendar after our discussions over the last few weeks as we piece this together. Again, the calendar is fairly similar to our calendar this year. This coming year, the 21-22 calendar is the dates align fairly well to make it clean to be able to do that. We'll talk about next year, but for now, this year's calendar is fairly similar to this year. We would bring staff back under the proposal here on July 26th for pre-service week. First day of school on this proposed calendar would be Monday, August 2nd. Again, when you look at the major breaks, fall break being that second full week of October, the 11th through the 15th, 3 days at Thanksgiving. We do have a 2-week winter break surrounded by 3 weekends, starting with an abbreviated day on December 17th. Staff would come back in on January 3rd. January 4th would be the first student day of second semester. We have spring break at, again, the last week of March, the 28th through April 1st. Working then towards, again, there's a Good Friday holiday on April 15th. May 19th, abbreviated day for the last day of school. And then under this calendar, graduation day 22 would be Saturday, May 21st. Again, 2 extra in-service days throughout the course of the year, basically splitting the semesters. October 22nd, which again, I think we talked about last month, is a proposed regional professional development day that all districts are looking towards if we can kind of come together, kind of like we used to provide a little bit broader professional development activity. And then March 14th, which splits the 9 weeks, the 2 9 weeks of second semester. So this would be a 178 instructional day calendar, again with bank time. We're taking 2 extra days for professional development. This has set so that a total of 7 in-service days, 5 admin days, and as we have traditionally done in the past, kind of carte blanche for bank snow days would be available at the district's discretion. With this also, we have we did talk about it too much last time, but the designated holiday schedule for 12-month employees, again, fairly similar. The dates themselves may change, but the actual days are similar year over year. Independence Day, Labor Day, 3 days of Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Memorial Day. It is a little unusual this year because Christmas Day and New Year's Day falling on Saturday. So those holidays would actually then fall on Thursday, Friday, leading into the holiday weekend for both of those holidays. So kind of concurrent with the school calendar, we're also presenting to you the designated holiday schedule for your approval as well.
Board members, questions or comments for Mr. True?
We need a calendar that doesn't have 2020 on it is a great calendar.
I don't want to
Mr. Hodge, Ms. Upshaw, you good?
Very good.
All right, Ms. Altizer, if you'll read the recommended action.
To approve the proposed 2020, 2021, 2022 KCS school calendar and designated holiday schedule as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Ms. Altizer, if you'll call the vote.
Mrs. Byers? Aye. Mr. Golden?
Aye.
Mr. Heish?
Aye.
Mrs. Upshaw?
Aye.
Mr. Welch?
Aye. Time for any board member that wishes to report on their committee assignment.
I have reports.
All right.
The last time I said it would be my last census report, but now I can report data numbers. It is over. There's no more talk after today, I promise. The census was finished October 5th. We have a 99.4% home visits in East Tennessee have been complete. That's awesome. On the self-reporting, our numbers are actually really good this year. On a national basis, they were 66.7%. Tennessee was just below that at 65.8%. Sullivan County was above the national average at 67.4%. And Kingsport rocked it at 69.1% of the people self-reported the census. But we do have 99% in, so with $1,100 per person per year, that should bode well for us, getting some money into the area, keeping who we are, how many representatives we have going to Nashville for us. So we had a great leadership team. It was led by Charlie Nishke and Kevin Flannery. We had a lot of help from Kingsport city staff in getting news out. We had articles on the newspaper. We had some on the radio. So we were very lucky in getting these numbers, and I think Kingsport will vote well after for the 2020 census. We obviously won't have another in-depth one like this again for 10 years. There was a lot of work. We did extend it in order to, meet the COVID deadlines and issues. But that's the good news on the census. And I promise now I won't have any more updates on that for the rest of the year. The other one is the diversity committee that I'm on. I'm actually sort of on 2 of them, and we're trying to link them the best that we can. But the one is going to be, with the community, is going to be more focused on racial diversity and what we need to do. We've done a lot of study panels, and we're trying to figure out, where are truly our weak spots in the community on racial issues. And so it is a pretty broad spectrum of people, and I think it grows each meeting of who wants to be involved. And in a way, that's good to me because that means it's a passionate issue in the community and people care and they want to be a part of it. The other one is a school side, more the KCS side diversity. And we are actually narrowing down really what our focus is because, as they say, we can't boil the ocean. We can't look, diversity is a huge word. And what does it mean and where do we begin working on it? So right now we're in the midst of trying to narrow down which aspect of diversity do we need to be working on. Is it the socioeconomic? Is it racial? Is it, who knows, there's lots of different things, but there's a lot of faces of diversity. And so we're all reading the book, Courageous Conversations About Race, and having some very intense dialogue. And one of the big issues on the team, which is fabulous, and if we can at least continue to get this out to people, it's great, is that we can't walk away from an uncomfortable conversation. And we have to understand that different perspectives are okay. And so that's kind of our norm when we do the meetings, is to make sure that we don't shut anybody down or make anybody feel bad for stating what they feel is an issue. So if we can either get that across and let people be able to have these awkward conversations or uncomfortable conversations, right there is our win. I don't really have an update on the Visit Kingsport because we have another meeting coming up, and SCAPI meeting is not until next month, so.
Thank you. Any others? Dr. Morehouse, the floor is yours.
Sure. So for the director's report, excited to say we're now experiencing our third week of face-to-face instruction, and we're so glad to be able to have our families that sign up face-to-face back in buildings. Incredibly proud of our teachers and our students and our administrators for helping to make this happen and us be able to sustain this. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. We're coming up, here in just a minute, we're coming up on our 9 weeks on-off ramp. And so wanted to let our board know that we're having a shift of about 400 students. We're moving from 1,200 RCL students to 800 RCL students. And so we have more students that are moving into that face-to-face category. And so excited to see that. We'll have our next on-ramp, off-ramp again at the Christmas break. Okay. And so we're making those shifts at these designated times. A lot of effort goes in to planning for these to make these as smooth as possible, these transitions as smooth as possible. And just want to say thank you to all the individuals that are involved in making those shifts. We're coming up on fall break this next week. And with that, I'm excited for our teachers, administrators, students, everybody to be able to catch their breath right now, to be able to have a scheduled time to catch their breath. I also, in transparency, have some concerns that going into fall break is that that we continue to observe our 3 W's, wash, wait, and wear. That our numbers as a community are starting to trend in the negative direction. And going into fall break, if we don't follow those 3 W's, that when we come out of fall break, we could be back into a place that we don't want to be as a community, that would trigger us back into hybrid, or at some point, if we don't get it under control, back to virtual. So I'm bringing that back up to the attention to say we work really hard as a community to do what we needed to do to get our kids back in school. We can't exhale right now. We have to keep doing it so that we can keep these things going. Which brings me back around to our teachers and our students, and just incredibly proud of the resiliency that I've seen from our kids, our teachers. Teachers have learned skills on the fly and have done an admirable job in adjusting and pivoting on a regular basis. I mean, and if you start calling out one, you're gonna miss somebody, and I don't wanna do that, but just in general, all of us, we talked about this year about our teachers, and when I say, I should just say educators, because when I say educators, then I think that goes broader to our cafeteria workers. Anybody that has a hand in influencing a kid is an educator for us. And so that's bus drivers, that's school nutrition, custodians, which we all had those national recognition days here as of recent. But just everybody that's had a hand in making this happen, incredibly proud of our district. And then Matthew is an example of, and seeing Matthew and then having our BioBuilder conversation today, just incredibly proud of our district for the pathways that we provide kids to reach that next destination, that next school. That the kid who wants to be a welder, that he can get his associate's degree before he graduates high school. And that if a kid wants to go and study synthetic biology and potentially go to MIT, you can do that as well. And there's not many districts that can say that, you know, and so I say it just to remind our people that it's not like this everywhere. That we have unique opportunities here, that kids from every background, every socioeconomic, every racial background, that if you're willing to put in the work, and you're willing to commit to the process, that there will be people there all along the way that will reach out a hand and help you get there. That if whatever that dream is for what you want to do, you can get there from here. Whether that's astronaut or whatever. I mean, that you can get there from here. And I don't know, I've just, you know, we take a lot of things for granted. I think this pandemic causes everybody to hit pause and to really take an account for what they have in life. And we're blessed in this community for the opportunities that we can provide for our future, and just excited for what is on the horizon. We're going to get better as a result of this. I already know that many of our teachers, this work that they've done to pivot, it's been painful, but we're going to get better from this. That we've acquired skills that we've talked about for a long time, but we've acquired them now. And so now, what opportunities does this afford us in the future if we harness this? And so, I'm sorry, I'll stop preaching. We're entering into tournament season. Our golf teams are at state tournament right now. Last update I got is that our boys team, after day one, is tied for 6th in the state. And Isabella Vanderbeest is in 1st place right now. And so excited for there. I know our volleyball team is in district competition tonight. As we wrap up, they'll be entering into competition tonight. And so just wish our student athletes good luck as we enter into tournament season. And so I will conclude with that.
All right. And with that, our next gathering together is a work session on October the 27th, and we stand adjourned. Thank you, and thank you to our participants.
Bye, guys.
I'm going to stay here 6 minutes longer now. See you all. Good luck. See you.